Okay, so before we get into today's episode, I want to establish two things. One is, with the exception of today, every Sunday you will be getting a One Piece arc review. So this Sunday it'll be Syrup Village, and every Sunday after that will be everything else. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I can make content that is not One Piece related on days that are not Sunday. So Sundays are going to be the release schedule from now on. The second thing is that I'm also going to be talking about the Gaimon episode. And the reason for that is because Gaimon and Orange Town in the manga come after each other, and they're both about the idea of treasure. So it only makes sense to talk about those two arcs as they thematically relate to each other. Now in the anime, Gaimon does come after Syrup Village, but as I've just explained, it makes more sense to talk about Gaimon in the way that the manga did it. But I will still be talking about the anime. So, talking into a camera and rambling about my thoughts is obviously a very difficult and unorganized way to do things. So the best way for me to get my thoughts in as much order as possible is to try to talk about things in chronological order. So let's start with the very beginning of this arc, which is Luffy and Zoro floating at sea. And the importance of this scene is that it's trying to show the kinds of people and things that Luffy is going to need in order to become a proper pirate. So the first thing is that obviously he and Zoro are cramped on this little rowboat, so he's gonna need a pirate ship. The second thing is that he and Zoro have literally no navigation skills. They are on a tiny rowboat in the middle of an ocean and they have no idea where they're going. So it establishes right off the bat that Zoro and Luffy need a navigator, otherwise they are never going to get anywhere. Another thing is that they are both starving, and while that's a plot point that separates the two of them in a second, it also establishes that Luffy's gonna need a chef. So it's good that during these little sections when Luffy is out at sea, we're showing what kinds of people are going to be important for Luffy's adventure, and I think that that's really, really cool. So Luffy tries to grab a seagull for him and Zoro to eat, but the seagull tries to eat him instead and separates the two. So this is basically just a way to separate Zoro and Luffy so that Luffy can have some time alone with Nami and do some character and relationship building with her. And basically it keeps Zoro out of the story for a while. So Zoro, he rows along and he finds 3 pirates, people who are part of Buggy's crew who had their ship stolen by Nami. And this establishes a couple things about Nami. The first thing is that she's very intelligent, she steals from people, and she's a very, very good navigator. She pretty much predicted a thunderstorm that was going to hit their ship immediately and left them to drown at sea. So we've established 3 kind of important things about Nami. Now, in the manga, this is technically Nami's introduction, but in the anime, Nami has been around since basically the first episode. And I think the reason for this is they wanted to show that Nami was going to be an important character, and since Nami's arc is technically the arc that acts as the dramatic finale to the East Blue Saga, I guess they wanted to highlight her as like a really important character and get people intrigued about her. But I think her introduction in Orange Town exclusively works better because Orange Town is thematically about treasure, like I just said. And Nami is a treasure-obsessed pirate, so her introduction being in an arc that thematically reflects a big character motivation for her is a lot more clever than just having her show up all the time in arcs where she's not important just to establish that she is a character. I think that doesn't really work super well. But there is one thing that kind of does work for this. So Nami is the first character we meet, I guess technically Zoro too, but Nami has goals that are separate from Luffy and what's going on in the arc. So technically Buggy and the gang have taken over Orange Town and they're destroying everything, but Nami is only here because she wants to steal treasure from Buggy, but she doesn't really care about what's happening to the town per se. She's not here to be its hero. She has a separate adventure that's going on. Now, what's cool about that is One Piece is a story where every single character is doing something. Every single character has a story and has separate motivations from the main cast. So what I like about that is Luffy and Nami just happen to end up in the same place because they're on different journeys. And technically that also happened with Zoro because he's just sort of wandering about trying to find the world's greatest swordsman and he just happens to find Luffy. And I think that it makes the world feel like a way bigger place when everyone has different motivations, and the reason that they all meet up is because they just happen to want to be in the same place for different reasons. And it prevents the world from feeling like a small place where everything is centered around like one character and one motivation. So I think that that's really cool. So for Nami, she is trying to steal money to buy a village, and that she has a particular hatred of pirates, but that is something that gets established a little bit later once she meets Luffy. So Luffy shows up on the island, and these pirates attack him, Buggy's crew members, and Luffy's hat gets blown off, and he beats the crap out of these pirates, and he says, "Don't you ever touch my treasure." So for Luffy, we're establishing that treasure is not always material possessions. Treasure is not always literally treasure. It's not always gold and silver. Sometimes treasure is something that you value emotionally. And this once again flows into what Romance Dawn was trying to do, where Alvida and Morgan acted the same. So even though one was a Marine and one was a pirate, they were both technically the same in terms of their personality, establishing that what makes a person who they are is not the label they wear, it is their actions. And this arc establishes that not every pirate is some treasure-obsessed lunatic. Some people like Luffy can see the treasure that normal people value, something that is emotional, something that doesn't offer power or glory, but something that is important to you as a person. So this contrast is important for this arc. So Nami tells Luffy that basically the whole town has been hiding because Buggy has taken over, and I guess he's just been stealing all this money from them. So Luffy is used in Nami's plan to trick Buggy by handing him into Buggy and saying, "Oh, I totally want to join your crew," because once again, she's manipulative, she's scheming, and she doesn't like pirates. So she is totally okay with just handing in Luffy to Buggy so that she can pretend she's part of Buggy's crew and then steal treasure from him when he's least expecting it. So she's got a plan, and that's very, very cool. But of course, the plan doesn't quite work out because Buggy wants Nami to kill Luffy, and she can't bring herself to do it. She can't bring herself to be a murderer like a pirate, and things kind of go south for her. So Luffy tells her, "Are you willing to do what a pirate does?" And Nami views that immediately as, do you mean, do I want to selfishly take someone's life? Because that's how Nami views pirates. She views it in this one-dimensional way because her traumatic experience causes her to think that pirates are just ruthless criminals, as pirates typically are in the real world. But Luffy says, "Are you willing to risk your life?" So these little interactions are starting to show Nami that not every single pirate is Buggy. Not every single pirate is motivated by the same things. Some of them, like Luffy, are good people. So after Nami fails, Zoro comes to their rescue, and it was important that Zoro and Luffy got separated for this little interaction right here. So if Zoro and Nami had been together, first of all, Zoro is a lot more skeptical than Luffy is and would not allow himself to get captured. So this basically creates a situation where we can have some character building for Nami and have her perspective be changed by Luffy, but also when things start to go south, we have a backup card because Zoro has shown up on the island and now he's saving Luffy. So it's a little bit of clever plotting of having the A and B stories sort of merged together like that. So that's really cool. But it's clever to have them separated for this moment. So Zoro saves Luffy and all three of them run away. And that's where they meet Shushu, who immediately eats the key to Luffy's cage, which is the funniest thing ever because it's establishing an antagonistic relationship between Luffy and Shushu. So obviously we want to see Luffy get out because, you know, we want to see him save the town. But Shushu is actively screwing over Luffy in everything that he does. So it kind of makes us not like Shushu. But then we get the tragic backstory from the mayor. So what's good about Shushu is this arc is not structured in a way that's typically like One Piece. So in the previous arcs, Kobe and Zoro were the ones to get their backstories. But because Nami's backstory is being saved for a later arc, there needs to be a character who represents the emotion and drama of the arc. So this comes in the form of Shushu. So rather than having the arc be about Nami, Nami is just sort of in the arc, and the arc is sort of about other people. It's about Shushu and the mayor. Now Shushu is based on the tale of a real-life dog. Now, this dog had his owner go on a train, and I don't remember where he was going, but he didn't come back because he died. So the dog went to the train station every single day to wait for his master until the dog died. And people erected a statue in the dog's honor. And this is kind of a famous story. So I like that Oda has sort of taken inspiration from that story and put it in this arc about treasure because it totally makes sense for it to be here. It's a very endearing story, and it's one of the first stories in One Piece that pulled on my heartstrings a bit. So we find out that Shushu had an owner, and the owner died and never came back to the shop, and he told Shushu to protect the shop. And Shushu knows that his master is never coming back. But the reason that he protects this shop is because, to him, this place is his treasure emotionally. It reminds him of a time when he and his master were happy, and so he's going to protect this no matter what. And so basically, it turns the town into this one little pet shop that every person in this town sort of has this little treasure. It narrows down a bigger idea into something that is more small and focused. So it's not like every single person in this town is a character that we care about. It is that every single character in this town is characterized through someone like Shushu. Now, of course, Shushu is a dog. Shushu cannot talk, which is why the mayor needs to exist to explain what the backstory is. The mayor explains the backstory and also says that this entire town is his treasure. So the mayor is here not only to thematically represent the entire town and the value that they have for it, but he's also there to give backstory for Shushu, because Shushu is the actual heart of this arc. So basically, they learn about Shushu's backstory, and then Buggy's crew members show up. And what happens is the lion tamer and his lion, they totally destroy Shushu's shop, and we see Shushu just try to save this town, this little pet shop, no matter what. And it's sad just watching him get absolutely brutalized by this lion. I actually had someone over watching the episode, and they were just so emotional watching it, and it really just impacted me, like just how good the story is. Even though we don't know who the owner is, we know so little about Shushu, but what makes backstories like this good is we don't need to be as attached to the owner as Shushu is, because we understand how much Shushu cares through how badly he protects it. And I think that this is an important lesson about how to do tragic backstories, that not every tragic backstory has to be about how you feel the exact same way that the character feels about the person they've lost. You don't need to have an entire arc where we learn about Shushu and his relationship with his master. What we understand is that Shushu is willing to risk his life to protect what he treasures, and that makes us care about him. It makes us care because Shushu stands no chance, and yet he's still willing to fight. That is drama. That makes us care so much. We don't need to understand everything, we just need to understand how much he is willing to sacrifice for this goal. So that is a good little writing tip. And I once again want to refer back to Film Crit Hulk. So Film Crit Hulk said something that I think relates to this, and basically he says that it's okay for things like this to be quick. Because if you do something like this well, it doesn't matter how fast it is, because it's not rushed, it's economical. If you do something good in as little time as possible, as long as you've done it really, really well, then there's no need to drag it out. You have done it to the best that it can be. I think that's how that's supposed to be understood, but that's really good. So after Shushu gets his place totally destroyed, we now have the personal motivation we need to go and beat up Buggy. So the mayor is motivated, Luffy is motivated, Zoro is motivated, and they're gonna go and fight Buggy. So the first thing that they do is Luffy goes to hunt down the lion tamer, and he just beats the crap out of both of them, and he says that no matter what you do, no matter how much you apologize, you will never bring that dog's treasure back. And Shushu acts as a soft parallel to Luffy, because Luffy treasures his hat. He values the promise that he made to Shanks, the person who saved his life, that he was going to become a man that would honor Shanks' way of living. And Shushu similarly has something that he values emotionally. And so Luffy can connect that to his own struggles as a person, and that is what motivates him to go after the Lion Tamer. And it's just a really emotional and cathartic beatdown. It's just like one punch and it's super satisfying. It's amazing. So after that, Luffy then comes back to give the last little bit of pet food to Shushu, who now has almost nothing left. And Nami is upset and angry. She sees what happens to Shushu, and she's reminded of her own situation where she lost someone important to her because of pirates. And she's willing to try and kill Luffy out of anger because she views Luffy as no different than Buggy, that he is a pirate, that he should be blamed just as much for the situation. So we can see how Nami's trauma has caused her to view pirates in the same light, and how this moment is bringing back her traumatic experience. But when Luffy gives Shushu back the pet food, we see that Nami is starting to view Luffy in a different light, that she's coming to understand that not all pirates are ruthless criminals. Some of them, like Luffy, are good people. And this is the first step on Nami's journey to becoming real friends with Luffy. And I also really like that this dynamic that she and Luffy have is that Nami doesn't want anything to do with Luffy. She has expressed this many times that she even wanted to kill him on several occasions. And yet Luffy is like, nah, you're my navigator. You're sticking around with me. And that's the funniest thing ever. It just kind of shows how selfish Luffy is. I really, really love it. And now we get into the final battle, where it's time for them to confront Buggy. And the first thing that I love is that when the mayor goes to beat up Buggy, Luffy knocks him unconscious. Now Nami views this as a ruthless action because, once again, she is viewing this from the perspective of pirates are just bad. But Luffy says, no, if he fought, he would die, and we want to protect this mayor. So they are knocking him unconscious so that he will not get attacked. And this once again flows into Nami's perception of pirates. So little by little, it is breaking apart. So the first fight is between Zoro and Kabaji. And this is the first Zoro-centric fight. This is a fight that focuses on the idea of what it means to be a swordsman, which is going to get really explored. But basically, Kabaji has a sword, but he is not a swordsman. He is a trickster. He is a performer. For him, a weapon is a weapon. He will play every dirty trick and thing that he can do in order to win. Now, what I like about Buggy's crew is that they're the first crew that has a sort of theme attached to them. So Buggy is going to be appearing in One Piece multiple times, and he is a reoccurring gag character. So because Buggy is a reoccurring gag character, his theme is that he is designed to be like a clown. So his design and his crew's theme are characterized through Buggy's design, and I think that that's really, really cool. So Kabaji, being a circus performer, totally works with the clown and circus motif that is going on with Buggy, but it also reflects Zoro really well. So Kabaji is basically the typical idea of what it means to be a pirate. So in chapter 1, Shanks said that being a pirate means that there is no such thing as fair and unfair, that pirates can do whatever they want because they are free, and you can't complain. But what Oda is trying to show here is that while yes, technically in a pirate's world, you can do whatever you want to succeed, if you cheat to win, then you're not growing. And Zoro is a character all about growing, and so is Luffy. And so characters in the Straw Hat crew are characterized with a sense of integrity and honor. So even though Zoro could maybe find a way to cheat in order to get ahead of Kabaji, he decides not to do it. He decides not to sink to Kabaji's level. So Kabaji is going to use whatever trick he can to win the fight because he is a pirate, he is a trick performer, and he's going to do whatever he can to get ahead. But Zoro is a swordsman. He has integrity, and so he even cuts himself to give Kabaji a handicap. And once Kabaji realizes that none of his tricks are going to work against Zoro, he decides to fight with his sword. And after he fought with his sword, he couldn't beat Zoro because Kabaji is a man with a sword, but Zoro is a swordsman. And it shows the difference between people like Kabaji, who are typical pirates who will use any shallow trick to get ahead, and people like Zoro, people with integrity and honor who win through surpassing their limits. Kabaji will do whatever it takes to win, but if you cheat to win, then you haven't grown. And if you don't grow, then can you really say that you earned your dreams? So I like that we're establishing this idea that fights need to be won with honor, and we're establishing that with Zoro. Now, during the fight with Zoro, Buggy also tries to step in, but Luffy stops that because Luffy also has a great sense of honor, because Luffy wants to be Pirate King and he wants to do it in an honorable way. So after Zoro beats Kabaji, then the fight with Buggy happens. Now, this is where we learn about Buggy's backstory and him having a parallel to Luffy. So both Buggy and Luffy were saved by Shanks, but where Luffy is grateful to Shanks and lives in a way that honors him, Buggy hates Shanks. Buggy, a long time ago, was on the same crew as Shanks. And Buggy is someone who only values material possessions and power. So he found a treasure map. A map that shows a treasure that is underwater, and he was going to find it in order to make money. Now, his crew also found a devil fruit, which he decided to steal and then go sell for even more money. But Shanks accidentally shocked Buggy into eating the fruit, and because of that, Buggy couldn't swim. So now he couldn't sell the devil fruit, and he couldn't get the fruit underwater. And because of his obsession with material possessions, he doesn't care about the fact that Shanks saved him from drowning. He only cares that he couldn't get the treasure. So Buggy is meant to be the ultimate foil in this arc. He is someone who only values material possessions. But once again, we're also seeing something from a different perspective, Nami. Now, Nami's point in the arc is that she also values material possessions. She is also trying to get treasure. She's going to do whatever it takes to keep that treasure. And when Luffy actually gives the treasure away at the end of the arc, she gets really frustrated with him. So even though this arc is saying that there are things more important than material possessions, and treasure is something that you value emotionally and not just money and gold, we can see from the perspective of Nami that technically money is something that she needs in order to buy back something that she values. So yes, technically treasure is not in and of itself the most important thing, but money can still be important to protecting the people you care about. So it's kind of a little bit of a more nuanced perspective. But Luffy beats Buggy, and Nami has now finished her arc of realizing that not every pirate is like Buggy. So Nami has decided to go with them on an adventure. On one end, Nami is a very intelligent character who understands that staying with Luffy and the gang is going to be smarter because she'll have people who can protect her, but it's also because she understands now that not every pirate is a bad person, and she's starting to become actual friends with Luffy and Zoro. So that is the end of that little section of the story. But before that, the town comes in because they have decided to have an uprising against Buggy, and they see the mayor unconscious on the ground, and they misinterpret these actions as, oh, the pirates did this. The pirates are to blame for this. And the funny thing is that totally reflects Nami's perspective. So it shows that Nami's perspective is a reasonable one that is shown by lots of people. That Nami at the beginning of the arc was just like the villagers. She didn't care about the nuance of the situation, or even attempted to see any nuance, because she views pirates from a one-dimensional perspective. And so when the villagers come in to protect the mayor, they have that exact same perspective as Nami. So this little moment was important in showing not only how much the villagers treasure the mayor, but also to show the differing perspective that Nami has from the beginning of the arc to the end of the arc, where she has come to have a more nuanced understanding of the kinds of people who can be pirates. So that is a very good perspective change. So Shushu, on the way out, decides to protect Luffy and the others. And I really, really like this about Oda, where sometimes he'll establish a character and that character will have an antagonistic relationship with the main characters, but you'll start to understand through their tragic backstory why they behave this way, and ultimately will come around to liking them. So it's coming from a place of these negative emotions of not liking Shushu because he ate the key, to liking Shushu because he had something he wanted to protect, and now he's going to protect them. It shows that Shushu has come to value them as his friends, and I think that that's just really, really cute. I love Shushu's story. It's so good. Orange Town is wonderful. And I think that that is really good. So now we're going to move on to Gaimon, and I'm going to talk about the anime version of it because this is an anime video. So when the characters get to Gaimon's place, and Usopp is with them at this point, they find the place just full of like these weird looking animal things, and this guy Gaimon is protecting them so that they don't get hurt or stolen by poachers. Now, of course, he gets completely exposed, and we learn his little backstory that his crew came to this island, Treasure Island, because they obviously wanted the treasure, but he accidentally got stuck in one of the treasure boxes, and his crew abandoned him and never came back for him. So that should really tell you about the kind of relationship that they had with him. Now, his dream has always been to get to the top of this plateau where the treasure boxes are left unopened, and he thinks that there's treasure still there. But when Luffy goes to the top, we find out that there's no treasure there. And Luffy at first is like, I don't want to show you the treasure boxes. And Nami is thinking like, oh, you're just trying to hog the treasure for yourself? That's terrible of you. Because once again, her perspective is still changing a little bit. It's not a complete change, but it's a gradual change. But Gaimon understands what Luffy is trying to do. He understands that Luffy is just trying to protect him. He's trying to protect his feelings because there's no treasure there. That he's been lost on this island for 20 years, dreaming of the moment he'd be able to open those chests, and there was nothing. So it focuses on this idea of a age-old trope of the treasure is the friends we made along the way, because for Gaimon that technically is the case. Gaimon dreamed of this treasure in the sky for so long, and yet there was nothing. But his real treasure were these animals that he has stayed to protect, because obviously his crew never cared about him because they abandoned him. But these animals depend on him. He is their guardian, and this place is his treasure. So Luffy invites Gaimon to actually become a crew member and to find One Piece, but Gaimon doesn't want to go because he doesn't want to experience the disappointment of going on a big adventure again only to find out that there was no treasure. But I think that what Oda was trying to say is that yes, well, the treasure at the end doesn't technically matter, and what matters is the friends we made along the way. I think he's showing this chapter to say that there is going to be a One Piece, that he's not going to do this ending, but he understands the value of it. So Luffy actually responds to Gaimon when Gaimon says maybe there is no One Piece, that One Piece is just a dream. Luffy says, nah, I think there's going to be a more satisfying ending than that. And Oda has even said in interviews that it's not going to be the friends we made along the way. So I think that this chapter is a really good perspective, once again, on the idea of treasure. That treasure can, once again, not just be material possessions, but this is especially different if you're coming from the perspective of treasure is not an immediate thing that you find and take from someone, or it's not like a paycheck. Treasure is like a dream that you hold for a long, long time that feels unobtainable or just is unobtainable. But at the end of the day, the friends and connections and things you did along the way, those are what matters. It's about the detours, it's about the friends. So two kind of different and similar perspectives, where one focuses on how money is not all that matters in the world, as things that are emotionally close to you are what matter. But of course, sometimes you need money to protect those you care about. But sometimes we treasure our dreams, the things that we want to collect in the future, and maybe we don't have the power or means to, or maybe it was never obtainable in the first place. But at the end of the day, you can just accept that if you made friends that you value on the journey. So that is everything for Orange Town and Gaimon. And I will see you guys next week or this Sunday for another One Piece arc review.